We are now live streaming on YouTube.
Okay, so we can begin.
Yes, we will be beginning just a while. I just would like to tell everyone that if you are going to send chat messages to me, I cannot open it simply because your chat will be flashed to everybody. Once I start screen sharing, everybody can read whatever your message is. So I can only open when the screen sharing is stopped. So please try not to send something that I won't be able to read. Or raise your hand if it's so important. Just a little word before we begin. We have a new team, a new group who will be facilitating for us. Hosting will be done by Ellen Bertuccio. She's pretty new with the community, but because she loves meditation a lot, she has volunteered herself to do so. Then we have Lolita Baño, with whom I've started Christian meditation decades ago. And we have Dolor Umali. Dolor is somebody I would say a valid candidate to be a priest because she has successfully built a chapel single-handedly in her hometown, Buenmaloy, Pangasinan. And then we still have to have Ninay Imperial, a single mom who has to hold down 3 jobs and finds meditation very helpful in her gargantuan task to raise a family. Oh my, wait. We have someone trying to come in. For some reason, her internet facility is not operating. So let's begin. I'll invite the bell so we can all be silent.
Good morning, everyone. Pleasant morning. It's in my area, the sun is coming out. So as JM earlier said, I am Ellen Bertuccio. I don't know if I volunteered though, but I'm happy to do this. Okay, so this morning we will have the presence. We are honored by the presence of somebody representing the Maharlika neuro-linguistic. I hear. Sorry, can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay, is that mine? Okay. Sorry for that. So we have this morning as the highlight of our session, the presence of the Maharlika Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And our guest speaker will introduce us to NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, with enough practice sessions to experience basic skills to reprogram the way we think for an enhanced decision-making. So let's begin with silent reflection on relevant biblical passages and enter into meditation.
Go ahead. A reading from St. Paul's letter to the Philippians, chapter 4, verse 6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving in your heart, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. A reading from the book of the Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens.
Opening prayer. Heavenly Father, open our hearts to the silent presence of the Spirit of your Son, Jesus. Lead us into that mysterious silence where your love is revealed to all who call Maranatha. Come, Lord Jesus. Before we begin to meditate, take a couple of moments to assume a comfortable posture. Sit down, sit still with your back straight, close your eyes lightly. Then interiorly, silently begin to recite a single word, a prayer word, or mantra. We recommend the ancient Christian prayer word, Maranatha. Say it as 4 equal stressed syllables. Breathe normally and give your full attention to the word as you say it, silently, gently, faithfully, and above all, simply. The essence of meditation is simplicity. Stay with the same word during the whole meditation and in each meditation, day to day. Do not visualize, but listen to the word as you say it. Let go of all thoughts, even good thoughts, images, and other words. Do not fight your distractions. Let them go by saying your word faithfully, gently, and attentively, and returning to it as soon as you realize you have stopped saying it, or when your attention wanders. Let's begin.
Okay. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That was personally when I go into meditation, it clears all the cobwebs of my mind, all the concerns. I have 6 kids, so that's 6 times 1,000 concerns in my mind. And meditation somehow refreshes me and makes me focused on what really matters. So now we call on again Lolit Abanyo to introduce our inspirational speaker.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Allow me to introduce our resource person for today, Ms. Irish, Yi for short, de Guzman. So after 23 years with the Asian Development Bank, or ADB, Irish, or Yi, retired in 2018 as strategy and policy officer in the strategy and policy department, in charge of biennially allocating over $3,000 billion to Asia and the Pacific poorest countries. Today, Yi is the owner and lead instructor of Maharlika Philippine Center for NLP. She is an NLP master practitioner certified by NLP Marin and Manila. She is also trained in holographic NLP, Bert Hellinger's systematic constellations, and Robert Fritz's dimensional mind approach. Ms. Yi is a passionate helper for people and groups who are geared for growth. She is a dynamic leader who loves thinking out of the box and proactively takes initiative towards solutions. She's happily married to Mon de Guzman for 31 years now and is a mother of 6 children and a lovely English bulldog named Benny. So, lastly, I'm proud to tell you that he is a product of our school where I retired, Maryknoll College High School, now Miriam College. And so, let us all welcome, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, let us all welcome Ms. Irish Lee de Guzman to talk about Neural Linguistic Programming, or NLP.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lalit. And good morning, everybody. What a glorious way to start the day. My goodness, basking in the presence of our loving Father. That is awesome. I wish all of my talks started this way. Okay, so may I share my screen, please? Is that okay? Let's see, what do I have? There, can you see my screen? Can you give me a thumbs up, please, if you see my screen? Thank you. All right, awesome. So we have about an hour to squeeze in about 20 hours of NLP material. So please bear with me. This is gonna be a very resourceful, very useful session. And I hope that you guys have plenty of takeaways from our session this morning, okay? All right, so what are we gonna do? We are going to go through briefly the history of NLP. We're going to go through some nested frames that have helped to kind of synthesize what is it that makes people do excellent things, okay? And then we'll go through some first principles of transformational NLP. These are the frames by which we in Maharlika NLP apply NLP. And then we'll go through some NLP exercises so that you have, just to get you to understand what we mean by structure of human experience. We'll get to that in a bit. And then we'll go through some other useful NLP concepts. And then I'll share some NLP studies or experiences that I have had working with clients, doing NLP sessions with them, just so that you get an idea how we apply NLP, not only to me, not only to my family, but also to the people around me. Okay. All right. So how did NLP start? Well, NLP was actually a question at the very beginning. And the question was, what is the difference that makes the difference? In other words, we know of a lot of people who are totally so powerfully excellent at what they do. We know that. There are some people who are so good at what they do in whatever field they are in. And then there are other people who are in the same field and they are equally well educated and they have equally good hearts, but they're not as good. Yeah. So what's the difference that makes the difference? And this question was posed by a bunch of 19-year-olds. Can you imagine? They were still in college at that time. This was in the mid 1970s. And so what they did was they did some experiments. They went through hours, hundreds of hours of videos of people who were really good in their field, particularly in the field of psychology. These were the giants at that time. This was Fritz Perls, Milton Erickson, and Virginia Satir, and Gregory Bateson. These were the people who were able to institute really good change in their clients. And what made them so good? Yeah. They did this so that they themselves could kind of short circuit psychology and they could adapt it for themselves so that they could be excellent in what they do. Okay, so that is the main question that we are trying to solve. What is the difference that makes the difference for you? How can you be the most excellent version of yourselves? Okay, and this is the value that NLP brings, and we'll show you how that comes about. So these 19-year-olds are, well, some of them at least. So they were studying in the University of Santa Cruz in California. John Grinder was actually a professor of linguistics there. He looked after, Richard Bandler is credited to be the main founder of NLP. John Grinder was his professor. Leslie Cameron Bandler is the wife of Richard Bandler. Richard Bandler was kind of a renegade. Yeah, he wanted to kind of challenge the usual ways that psychology was being done. So NLP actually started as a bit of a rough approach. And Leslie Cameron Bandler, the wife of Richard Bandler, sort of put the heart into NLP. Robert Dilts is the one who kind of encoded and synthesized the findings so that they can be replicated through formulas. Okay. Jonathan Rice was the only clinical psychologist who was actually part of the original group. He was the one who was practicing psychology at that time. And when he learned about what these 19-year-olds were doing, he was like, how are they doing what they're doing? Yeah. So he joined the group and he incorporated what he learned from them into his own psychology study, yeah, into his own psychology practice. And then finally, well, I studied NLP with NLP Manila and with NLP Marin. Marin is a county in California in the USA. And Carl Buchheit and Carla Camus are the founders of NLP Marin. Okay, actually, Carl Buchheit is the founder. Carla Camus is his lead facilitator as well. So the way that Moharlika NLP teaches NLP follows the NLP Marin style of NLP. NLP can be taken in so many ways, yeah? We follow the transformational NLP of NLP Marin. And what does that mean? They found out, what these 19-year-olds found out, is that people who are excellent in what they do basically have 4 things in their repertoire. One is they have good rapport. And what does that mean? They establish very good connections with the people that they are working with, and they have good rapport with themselves. Of course, You can do something excellently if you're confident, if you feel good about it, you have good rapport with yourself, good rapport with the people around you, okay? Second, they have outcome. They have a clear outcome. They know what they want. They know what they want to accomplish. Third, they check for ecology. And what does that mean? Does the outcome work in the system where it's supposed to work? In other words, is it a win-win situation for all of the people involved in that particular outcome? Okay. And lastly, they had techniques. Of course, you need to have some sort of technique. You have to know how to do what you want to do. Okay. So rapport outcome ecology techniques, these synthesize sort of how it is to be excellent. And this is the approach that we use in the way that we teach our courses in Maharlika NLP. This is the outline. We teach how to build rapport. We teach how to explore outcomes. We teach how to check for ecology. And then we impart some NLP techniques. Okay? So I've said 5 minutes already. I've been talking for maybe 10 minutes. I haven't given you an idea of what NLP is. NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. What does that mean? Of course, they assign this hugely long word. Neuro means we're pertaining to the brain. What is it about the brain? How the brain processes information. What kind of information? Information that we receive through our senses, through our eyes, through our ears, through our nose, through our mouth, through the things that we feel. Okay, and feel could be tactile, like hard and soft and smooth and rough, or it could be feelings that we feel inside. Neuro also pertains to the study of how the various parts of the brain interact with each other. Right? So we have our old reptilian brain that's located here at the bottom. We have our pre-mammalian, we have our mammalian, and then we have our frontal cortex. And how do these parts interact with each other? How do they support each other? Or how are they, sometimes in contra with each other? How does that work for us? Okay, so we look at that. Linguistic, because we communicate all of the time. We cannot not communicate, yeah? We don't communicate only with our words. We communicate with our behavior, right? So if somebody like raises their eyebrows like this, what does that mean? Yeah? Or if somebody goes like this, what does that mean? That's communication. Even the way that we speak. So for example, if somebody's speaking in a very high voice, what does that mean? Or if somebody's speaking very, very slowly, what does that mean? If people are breathing very fast, yeah? So all of these things communicate something to us. And NLP practitioners are trained to explore, to observe people's behavior and to explore what that behavior means. Because it represents an internal experience. Our external behavior reflects an internal experience, okay? And we'll show you how that works. Finally, the P part, programming, is because everything, the way that we behave, is all programmed. It runs silent in the background. How did you know to have breakfast this morning? Did you have to get up and say, okay, now I will get breakfast, I will get a spoon, I will get a fork, I will get a glass, I will get a plate, I will get my coffee sachet? No need. It's all run automatically. How do you know to take a bath? How do you know to shampoo first and then soap your body after, or soap your body first and then shampoo after? These are all programming or patterning that runs automatically, automatic yan, in the background, invisible. Okay, that's how we are built. Okay, why is it important for us to know that? It's important for us to know that because sometimes if we don't explore our programming, it's all fine. If the programming is working fine, if we're having the experiences that we like, then fine. However, if we're having experiences that we don't like, it benefits us to slow down and to look at the programming and to study what that is all about. What is letting us know to not have the experiences that we would like, okay? And we'll show you how that works. Essentially, if we were to summarize NLP in one statement, it is the study of the structure of human experience. What? What do you mean, structure of human experience? Yes, human experience has structure, okay? And what does that mean? So we'll go to some first principles of transformational NLP. And the first one is our human experience has structure. Okay, in other words, all of our experiences are made up of building blocks, and these building blocks are made up of smaller building blocks, and these building blocks are made up of smaller components and smaller components and smaller components. So our experience, each of our experience is composed of thoughts, feelings, and actions. These are the subcomponents. And these thoughts have smaller components in them. And these feelings have smaller components, actions have smaller components. Why is it important to know this? Because if we want to experience our experiences now differently, we have choice. And if we are able to shift something in that structure, we can come up with new experiences, experiences that we would like to create even for ourselves. Okay, we'll show you how that works. Second, though we all have room to improve our experience, no one is defective or broken. We are all doing the best we can with what is available on our life's menu at the moment. No exceptions. Okay? I underlined the word available because you know how in Windows we have a menu of options? Yeah, I will stop the slide for now because I want to see your beautiful faces. Okay, so you know how in Windows we have a menu of options, right? And in that menu of options, some of them are active, some of them are grayed out, right? It's the same in our programming. So cognitively, we can see all of the options that are available. But currently at that moment, not all of them are active. So what's an example? An example is, I have to exercise tomorrow. Okay, fine. Why do you have to exercise? Because if I exercise, I will be healthy. Very good, thank you. So being healthy is an option that's available cognitively in your menu of options. And yet when the next day comes, the diet doesn't work. You don't go on a diet. You still go for the andi rice in Mang Inasal. You still go for lechon, and you still go for bagnet. What's going on? What is happening? Okay, it's because there's programming that's running invisible in the background that's letting us choose the best feeling option that's available in the moment. Okay, so you could cognitively know, yes, I have to go on a diet. But in that moment, the best feeling option is to go for chicharon, for example. It's the best feeling option. And we will always go for the best feeling option that's available. Of course, why wouldn't we go for the best feeling option? We don't go to a restaurant and order the third best item on the menu, right? When you go to a restaurant, you look at the menu, you go for the one that feels, yeah, okay, you know, fits my budget, tastes nice, looks good. Okay, we'll go for that. Unless, of course, you guys made a bet with each other and said, I'll bet you'll order the third best item on the menu, in which case you'll go for the third, and then that third best item on the menu becomes the best feeling option in your menu, right? So you'll always, always go for the best feeling option on your menu. Why is it important to know this? It's important to know this because it kind of starts the easing up on the constant struggle that we have with ourselves. Okay? There's always that we get so frustrated. We get so frustrated whenever we don't achieve the outcomes that we would like. I want to lose 20 pounds. Why can't I do it? And you kind of turn against yourself. You kind of fight with yourself and you berate yourself and you get frustrated with yourself and you get angry with yourself for you not achieving the outcomes that you would like. Right? But if you understood the programming that let you choose that best feeling option at the moment, and explore that programming that lets you know to behave the way that you do, then you give yourself space to have more options available. It's that simple. Okay? So I will share again my screen. Okay. We have 3 more. Every place we are stuck in our present experience is the result of our brain's good efforts to protect our safety in the past. Earlier, and I keep going back to patterning or programming. Okay. The programming that is running in our lives now got installed when we were very, very, very young. In some cases, you know, even when we were in our mother's womb, perhaps. But how did all of this programming come about? Well, in a variety of ways. We could have inherited them from our ancestors as a culture, as a society. Programming is there. We know that as Filipinos, there are certain patterns that are running in the background that we have inherited from our ancestors. Patterning can also be obtained on the knees of our parents, so to speak. Okay? And of course, there is the patterning that we got from our experiences, our own experiences when we were very, very young. And the programming just keeps running up until where we are today. And a lot of this programming can use some updating now. Okay? Because the part of our brain that's running the programming doesn't realize that we've already grown up, that we're no longer in that situation. But it still functions as if the danger is still there. Okay? So to explore that. And finally, all of our experience, past, present, and future, is being created or generated right now. What do you mean? I had an experience this morning. I had an experience 10 years ago. Yes, that's true. If I were to ask you, can you be happy yesterday? Cannot be happy yesterday, right? You can only be happy now. You can only experience that happiness now. Can I ask you, for example, to be frustrated tomorrow? Cannot be frustrated tomorrow, right? You can only generate your experience now. Cannot be done yesterday. And as a matter of fact, when did the past really start? Did it start 10 years ago? Did it start a week ago? No, the past started a nanosecond ago. That was already the past. Finished na. And when does the future start? The future doesn't start 30 years from now. The future will start a nanosecond from now. A milli, if there's an even smaller unit. So all we really have is now. It's just that we're generating experience that we've had in the past now. Okay? And so, if we want to enhance or change our experience, we change the patterning that creates that experience. Because everything is run through programs, we have programs and patterning that are running in the background. If we shift something in the programming, we create new experiences. And this is what makes this work so wonderful. Because if NLP is done correctly, you don't even notice the change because it runs in the background. It's in the patterning. And you just one day, it's like a headache. Yeah. So you have a headache. And then a couple of hours later, you just suddenly notice, oh, my headache is gone. But you didn't notice the particular point when it went away. It's the same thing. If NLP is done right, you don't even notice the change. Other people may notice it around you that you've changed, but you yourself, it just comes so naturally because it comes from within you. The change comes from within you, and it feels so good, and it feels so great, and it feels so natural. Okay? So these are the basic building blocks of our experience. When we talked about the structure of human experience, these are our basic building blocks. Our experiences have been programmed through pictures, sounds, feelings, smells, and tastes, right? If I were to ask you of an experience that you've had when you were in grade school, there would be pictures that would come up, or there would be sounds. You would hear maybe the laughter of your classmates when you were in grade school. Feelings would come up. Maybe you remember a time when you were playing with them. Smells, maybe the smell of crayons, maybe, or the smell of your baunan when you were young. And maybe even certain tastes, if you remember. But really, our experiences are made up of these basic building blocks: pictures, sounds, feelings, smells, and tastes. In NLP speak, we use the words on the leftmost column. So when we refer to pictures, we refer to visuals. Sounds is auditory. Feelings is kinesthetic. And again, it could be what we touch or the feelings that are coming up for us inside. Yeah. It could be smells, olfactory, or tastes, gustatory. Okay. So if we talk about the building blocks of experience, usually we abbreviate that as VAKOG. VAKOG, VAKOG, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. Okay. So what does it mean? ano ba tong structure of experience na to? So let's do a little exercise. If you guys would like to do this with me, please. And I would love it if you guys opened your videos so that we could see each other. A lot of NLP is really about being there for each other and being present and seeing the behavior and all of that. So I will ask you guys to thank you for turning on your videos. Could you please think of a pleasant experience that you've had? That's fine, Argel, thank you. Okay, so think of a pleasant experience, not your favorite one, please, because we're gonna be playing around with it. Okay, so maybe you had a nice cup of coffee this morning, or maybe you had a pleasant conversation with a friend, or you went on an outing, not your favorite one, but something pleasant. Okay, awesome. You got it? Okay, thank you. Yeah. So notice where your eyes are going. Yeah, we'll consider this later, but your eyes are going up, your eyes are going down. So you have that pleasant experience, yes? There's a picture that comes with that pleasant experience. Okay. And okay, so let me share a whiteboard so that you know what's happening internally within you. Okay, so I hope you can see the whiteboard. So you have that picture, yes? Oh. So what you're seeing is a V. You're seeing a picture. You're seeing a visual, yes? Thank you. And that visual is leading to a kinesthetic or a feeling, and it's a positive one. Coffee, yes, always pleasant for me too. Thank you, honey, yes. So that picture is coming up with a pleasant feeling, okay? Thank you. All right. So could you please notice, and I'm going to make this bigger. Could you please notice if the picture is colored, oops, colored or black and white? Could you notice if the picture that's coming up for you is colored or black and white? Okay. And if it's colored, could you please make it black and white? And see if there's any change in the experience for you. See if the meaning of that experience changes for you. Or if it doesn't, that's also fine. We're all programmed differently, okay? So if it's colored, make it black and white. If it's black and white, make it colored. And see if that experience changes. Okay, thank you. Can would anybody like to share whether the experience changed for them and how that was? Anybody would like to share?
Um, I can share.
Okay, Ate Ivan, yes.
Well, it was colored, and then when I changed it to black and white, it kind of dulled the experience a little bit. It kind of played it down a little bit.
Right. Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Ellen Vertusio raised her hand.
Ellen, please.
Okay, actually my husband just had his birthday and we went out for
Yes.
lunch.
Yes,
That was the experience. I saw it in color,
thank you.
in full color.
Wow,
And when I shifted it to black and white, it's the same.
it's the same. It's the same feeling.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Christine.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Christine. Thank you.
Okay. To me, the sense and the taste of the chocolate, the dark chocolate that I had last night at a friend's house
Uh-huh.
was better colored.
It was better colored.
Yeah, when I shifted it to black and white, it was nothing. It wasn't stimulating my imagination, the senses.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And we have someone who typed in the chat, it felt like the delight of the experience disappeared. Like the difference of watching Netflix and reading a book with small fonts. Oh, wow. That's a nice way of putting it. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Excellent. That was excellent noticing. Thank you very much. So could you please now set that picture to where you would like it to be? If you want to keep it maybe black and white, for some people, they make it sepia. For some people, they make it pastel, for example, yeah? So it's just so that you could come up with a pleasant experience of that experience again. So set it with colors that you would like, okay? This is designer experience. All right, awesome. So now, could you please check for brightness? How bright is that picture? Because just because it's very, very bright doesn't mean it's positive, yeah? For some people, doesn't mean that, just because it's bright, it's positive. So just notice the brightness. And then imagine that there's like a brightness dial in your brain, and you're going to dial the brightness down until it becomes quite dark. And see if the experience changes for you. The meaning and the feeling of that experience changes for you. Okay. And so now, could you please turn the brightness dial back to a level that you would like. If you want it brighter, go ahead, make it brighter. If you want to set it to the original brightness level, go ahead, set it to the original brightness level. But notice where you would like the brightness to be. Okay. And just one more exercise. I know I'm asking your brain to do all sorts of mental gymnastics. Yeah. So early in the morning too. Okay, one more. Could you notice if you are experiencing that experience using the eyes that you had in that experience? Okay, in other words, as if you were there, or if you are experiencing that experience as somebody else in that experience. So we call that in body or out of body. Are you using the eyes that you were using when you had that experience? Or are you experiencing that experience outside of yourself and you're seeing yourself as another person sort of in that experience? And could you please, if you're either one, go to the other. So if you're using your eyes, go ahead and pop out, like, like pop out of that. I don't do a very good pop. Pop out of that, pop out of your body and look at yourself. Like maybe be one of the other persons who was there with you in that experience and look at yourself through their eyes. Or if you're already popped out, step into yourself and look at that experience through your eyes that were in that experience. And see if the meaning changes or the feelings change. Okay? All right. So now go ahead and be where you would like to be. If you want to be in body, go ahead and experience that experience fully with all the pleasant feelings that are coming up in body, or out of body, whichever works for you. Okay. All right. So thank you very much for doing that exercise with me. And you can let that experience go. Thank you. Thank you very much for doing that. What does this tell us? What does this exercise tell us? If I were to ask you what made that experience pleasant 5 minutes ago, you would have said, well, it's because I enjoyed the people that I was with in that experience. Or you could say, because, the place was, very, very nice, or the food was very, very nice, or whatever, we are human beings and that's how we would usually respond. But through this exercise, we find out that that experience is also pleasant because of the way that our mind has programmed that experience to come up for us. It was programmed to feel pleasant because there was color in it, or there was a certain brightness to it, or because we experienced it in body or out of body. That's the way that our program was set up to experience that experience. So first, this tells us that our experience has structure. It's made up of components, and that we can explore these components. And second, that we have choice about how we would like to experience that experience now. This is so useful, particularly for those who have had not so pleasant experiences when they were very, very young. Can you imagine those who have been bullied, for example, in school? Yeah. They have choice about how they would like to experience that experience now. Is this the only way that we do it? Oh, no. But this is the beginning of us exploring the structure of our experience. We talk about self-love all of the time, but we don't know how to do it. Okay? No one has told us how to love ourselves. But if we really wanted to love ourselves, then let's please try to understand ourselves. Understand all of our experiences as much as we can. Okay? So, thank you very much for joining that exercise. the way that we do change, we can introduce it on a couple of levels. Yeah, we could introduce it at the environmental level, for example. Yeah, at the environmental level, we know that our behavior changes. For example, if it's raining, we would bring an umbrella and we would wear thicker clothing, we would wear a jacket. It changes. And if it's sunny, our behaviors change. Yeah. We could also introduce change at the level of behavior, internally or externally. Internally is what we were doing earlier with the pictures. That was internal behavior. That was your brain behaving internally. And we could introduce change there. And external behavior is a reflection of what's going on internally. Of course, you cannot be congruent, or sorry, you cannot be incongruent. The external behavior cannot be incongruent with your internal behavior. Of course, they have to be congruent with each other. Otherwise, you go crazy. Yeah. We can also introduce change at the level of belief. And this is more sustainable. Beliefs about what? Beliefs about the people around us, beliefs about the world, beliefs about life itself, for example. And of course, at the identity level, which is beliefs about ourselves. Okay. What are some of these beliefs that are usually floating around in humanity? Oh, I have to be on top of everything all of the time. I have to be in control of the situation. Oh my God, otherwise there'll be chaos. Yeah, that's one belief. O kaya, there are people who are so caring. There are people who love other people so much that they are willing to serve them. Kahit ano pang gusto mo, I will always say yes. There are people who have that kind of programming, for example. That is identity level belief. Okay? And what's the programming that lets them know to behave that way? Okay? And finally, before I close soon, we have what we call the critter brain. What's the critter brain? The critter brain sits somewhere here at the back. And the critter brain is the one that gives us sort of signals whenever we are in danger. So there are times when we say, we want to do something. And then the critter brain gets triggered and says, no, you got hurt the last time. Don't. Stay here. Stay safe. Stay alive. Stay here. Okay. The problem is the critter brain doesn't know time. The critter brain still thinks that the danger is very, very present now. And so the critter brain, it's a very, very beautiful part of our brain because it helps to regulate our bodily functions. Yeah, it helps to control our respiratory system, our blood circulation. It helps to coordinate our movements. Okay. The thing is, the critter brain, you know how animals, for example, like, I don't know, a gazelle, let's say in the African savanna, a gazelle would always be on the lookout for a lion. Always, yeah? They would always be on the alert. And that's the critter brain, always on the alert for danger. Okay? The critter brain doesn't have imagination. The critter brain doesn't think of other possibilities. It doesn't think, oh, maybe they're having a day off today. Walang ganon sa critter brain. The critter brain will always be on the lookout for danger. Okay? And it's functioning the way that it's supposed to function. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to help keep us alive. It's supposed to help us to survive. So it's an integral part of our brain. Okay? And I will share with you one very, very interesting observation that the founders of NLP discovered is that whenever we need to think, our eyes need to move. Okay? So for example, if I were to ask you to recall how many windows did you have in your home when you were growing up? Can you please recall how many windows? So there, you see, if you look at everybody else in the Zoom meeting right now, their eyes are moving all over the place. In order for us to access the information that we need, our eyes need to move. Okay? If people are looking up, usually they're seeing a picture. Not usually, they are seeing a picture. Do we know the picture that they're seeing? We don't. We only know that internally, they're looking at the picture. Okay? If people are looking way over, sorry, if they're looking up and to there, to kunyari ako yung kaharap nyo, if I'm looking up to my left, to your right, yeah, to your right, to my left, usually it's a picture from the past. I'm recalling a picture from the past. If I'm looking at the picture, if I'm looking up and to my right, to your left, usually I'm constructing a picture. Okay? If people naman look way over to the right or to the left like this, yeah, like that, they're hearing a sound. And again, if they're looking way over to the left, to your right, they are hearing a sound from the past. And usually it's a voice of authority. Okay? Could be a caregiver, could be a parent, could be a yaya. All right? And if they're looking here naman on the right side, your left, it means they're constructing a sound. So for example, if I were to ask you to imagine your best friend talking in a voice like Mickey Mouse, okay, so your eyes would be moving, yes? And it would be easy for you to imagine that if you put your eyes way over to the right side, because that is where we access constructed sounds, okay? Now, what about when people look down? Well, when people look down to their left, they're talking to themselves. What does that mean? What are they saying to themselves? Eto, exactly what I'm doing. What are they saying to themselves? Yeah, that's internal talk. That's internal dialogue. So you know that they're talking to themselves. And if they're looking naman to their right, it means that they're accessing their feelings. Okay? Why is this important? Because it allows us to observe what must be the experience that people are having internally. If people are looking down, they're accessing their feelings. So if you notice little children, kung kunyari nakabasag sila ng vase, yeah, what do? They look down like this because they're sad. And then as parents, we're all like this and we're saying, look at me. You look at me. And they look up and they're kind of disregarding their emotions. You're kind of ignoring them accessing their emotions. You're disconnecting them from their emotions. You're asking them to look at you, to look up. Okay? Jonathan Rice, who was, I mentioned earlier, the psychologist who was part of the original group, he ran a suicide hotline back in the 70s, early 80s. And when people would call, one of the first things that the operators would ask the caller to do is to describe their ceiling. Okay? Kasi if you look up, malayo ka, well, it's a temporary relief from your feelings. You're looking up eh. Sige, you look up. Everybody look up. Now try to be angry. Ang hirap magalit, di ba? Pag nakatingin ka sa taas, ang hirap magalit. Why? Because your feelings are down here. It's so much easier to access your feelings down here. Okay? So ang sasabihin nila, when people call, look up and describe, because that gives temporary relief to the caller who has depressing thoughts. So they look up. Okay? Very, very nice to notice that. Yeah? Also, if you notice netong COVID, ang daming mga schools who asked, because classes were done online, right? Some schools were requesting the students to install a software, an eye tracking software. You notice na they have to activate that when the students are taking an exam, para the students will keep their eyeballs dun lang sa screen. If their eyeballs went somewhere out of the screen, it will be construed as cheating. Yeah? Meron akong classmate sa NLP Marin, yung anak niya was a straight A student. Okay? He didn't understand why he felt so frustrated when he was taking exams. It's because we need to move our eyes in order to access the information that we need. And for the school to say, hindi, dito ka lang pwede tumingin, how can you access, for example, you're trying to recall saan sa notes mo nakasulat itong particular na sagot na to. How are you going to access that if your eyes are always here? You cannot access the information that you need, right? So it's kind of counterintuitive. Whoever started that eyeball tracking thing, I would ask them to please reconsider. Because the students need to move their eyes. That's how we're programmed to access the information. That's exactly like the Queen's Gambit. If you guys have watched the Queen's Gambit, diba? In order for her to access the solution to the chess puzzle, she would look up at the ceiling because the answer is there for her. She can visualize it. Okay, that's how our brain works. Okay, important, so important for us to notice this. Yeah, so yeah, these are just, I did these. I know it's kind of, but if we were to summarize how it works, it's something like this. Okay, so if you're talking to this person, if their eyes move, you kind of get a sense of what their internal experience is. Are they looking at a picture? Are they hearing a sound? Or are they accessing their feelings? Or are they talking to themselves? Okay. So let's do one more exercise. Stay with me. I will ask you, please, to recall something typical that you do that you enjoy doing. Okay, so for example, if you love playing the piano, or if you love cross-stitching, or if you love painting, or if you love writing, or whatever it is, go ahead and try to recall that pleasant task that you're doing. Okay? All right, thank you. And notice now whether it's colored or black and white. And notice the brightness. And notice whether you are in body or out of body. Okay, thank you. Now, could you please put that picture just a bit to the side, because I will ask you to come up with another picture. Okay, so just put it to the side. And now, could you please come up with a picture of an activity that you don't particularly enjoy doing? Okay, so maybe it's, I don't know, cutting onions, or something that you don't particularly enjoy doing. Okay, all right. Now notice whether that one is in color or black and white. And notice the brightness. And notice whether you are in body or out of body for that. Okay, thank you. Now, could you please move that other picture now a bit to the side and put the first picture beside, so that they're beside each other. Okay. Very nice, thank you. Okay, and now, could you apply the same color and brightness and in body or out of body from the task that you enjoy doing? See if you could apply that same color and that same brightness, and whether in body or out of body, to the task that you don't particularly enjoy doing. And see if there's any change in the way that that second task is coming up for you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So, we can collapse experiences. A lot of the time, for example, if somebody wants to be able to have more confidence when they're speaking in public, yeah, you can access an earlier experience that you've had where you were really confident. Maybe you were riding a bike, or maybe you were telling a joke to your parents and you were really, really confident. Step into that experience. How was that experience like? Yeah. And whatever resources were available to you in that experience that allowed you to be confident, try to identify those. What were the resources that were there? You were enjoying yourself, you were happy, you had full knowledge of what you wanted, something like that. Bring that resource now to where you are. Yeah. And then going forward, if you're going to do a talk to the public and you want to be confident, access that same resources. Go ahead and imagine yourself in the future with those resources, whatever it is that you need. Okay? This is basically what we try to explore in NLP. Because we already have all of the resources that we need. And this is one important takeaway that I would like for you to have, is that all of our experience is explorable. We have choice about how we would like to experience our experiences now, and that we have all of the resources that we need to achieve the outcomes that we would like. What do you mean? I don't have all of the resources I need. I don't have 10 million pesos. Chunk it down. So for example, if people say, if I ask them, what would you like? I would like world peace. Okay, thank you. That's kind of big. Let's chunk it down. With whom would you like to experience peace with? Because apparently, the reason why they want world peace is that they're not seeing peace everywhere. So where would they like to experience peace with? And they will say something like, oh, I want to experience peace with my neighbor, for example, or with my in-laws, or with my children, or with my parents. Yeah. And so we've already chunked it down. All of your outcomes can be chunked down into smaller pieces that are workable for you. And you have already all of the resources that you need to achieve the outcomes that you would like in ways that are for you, that work for you, not somebody imposing them on you. That's the difference between NLP and some of the self-help. Some of the self-help that's available out there will tell you, oh, just think positively. Yeah, think positively. Project your outcome in the future. Think positively. Fine. Yes, okay, that's going to work. But what's going on now that's stopping you from getting that outcome? What's the programming that's running? NLP steps in where, you know, a lot of us have already journaled our way through some problems. Some of us have sought advice from people close to us, from professionals about our problems. We've already tried to willpower our way throughout our problems. Where all of these have failed, NLP steps in because it allows you to explore your experiences on your own terms, not from somebody else's map of reality, but from your own map of reality. Okay? So, as I said, history started out as a study of excellence. How would you like to be better? How would you like to be the excellent versions of yourselves? And to explore that. What's the difference that makes the difference? We have our core competencies of NLP course. This is happening on August 13. That's already next Saturday. We have classes every second to fourth weekends of the month from 2 to 6 p.m. In between, we have study groups because NLP is experiential. This is not, the concepts are better learned really if we keep on practicing them. Okay? It's not easy to just read about it in a book and incorporate it in our lives. We have to keep practicing them. So, what are some of the things that we will cover? Oh my goodness, we're going to cover so many things. The eye accessing cues, it's only one. The one that I taught you earlier, that's only one. But there's so much more to discover. So much more that they have discovered, that they have encoded for us to learn, for us to be the best versions of ourselves. Okay? So essentially, what we are about, our main objective is to assist you to come into more and more rapport with yourself, with who you are, who you were, and who you are becoming, and for you to do this on your own terms. And what we would like really is to behold each of us perfectly free. If you would like to know more about NLP, we have more details about our course through our website at maharlikanlp.com/NLP training. We have a Facebook page. Just type at Maharlika NLP in the search bar. And if you would like to get in touch with us, just send us an email at inquire@maharlikanlp.com. Okay, I think that's it. Oh, sorry. Okay. You know, I will end with a quote. I love this quote. I don't know who said it, but it goes something like, yesterday I was clever and I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, and so I am changing myself. Okay? We only have control over ourselves. We don't have control over situations that happen to us, for example. We don't have control over other people around us. We can really only have full control over ourselves. And so the best gift that we can give ourselves and to the world is to try to be better versions of ourselves. Okay? So thank you very much. I hope you guys are still awake after that very long talk. So I will open the floor for any questions that you may have.
Yes. We have to thank you, Yi. No, is it okay to call you Yi?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I would love to be called me.
Thank you so much. That's simply powerful, no, what we just learned from you. And so I just want to have some time check. We're now at 9:36.
Yes.
And we are about to have the open forum. Is it okay to extend maybe 20 minutes? Can I have a thumbs up from all of you if it's okay to extend a bit? All right. Okay. So, okay, we will now entertain sharing, questions, or whatever. Let's just try to be straight with our questions and try to do it in 2 minutes max to give time for the others. All right, I see Christine Carlos.
Yeah. Hi, Yi.
Hello.
I'm very interested in NLP and I've read up on it. I have a few books in it, and I think Tony Robbins was one of the first
Yes.
guys that pioneered, or he's not really a pioneer, but he made
No.
it popular.
Yes.
He made it popular. It's actually, the books are kind of complicated. I'm his book, but I'm reading one now. I wanted to ask you about reframing, right?
Yes.
Reframing our experience.
Yes.
The examples of exercises that you were giving us are examples of how we can reframe our
Yes.
experience, right?
But that's not exhaustive. There's so many ways that we can reframe our experiences, past experiences, and even future experiences that we haven't experienced yet. Because some of us are, for example, worried about the future. There's a way for us to reframe our experiences. So sorry, Christine, go ahead with your question.
No, that's it. I was going to ask if that was reframing.
It's one of the reframes, yes. It's one of the ways in which we reframe, but it's actually one of the shallowest. There are so many ways that we can reframe an experience. So for example, that particular experience, the pleasant experience that you had, this, when we had that exercise, I could ask you, for example, to go a couple of minutes prior to that experience. What was happening before that? Yeah. And what was happening after that? Right? So that's one way to reframe it. So for example, I had a client, she's Syrian, but she's now in Germany. And for some reason, she's so afraid of cockroaches. Okay. And it's like they're attracted to her. She's like a cockroach magnet for some reason. Yeah. And when we try to do an imprint, again, it's because our experiences, the way that these programs are coming up for us, is because of experience we've had when we were very, very young. She recalls when she was about 2 years old, she was in her sitting chair, like babies are in a little chair, right? And she was on the floor and she felt so vulnerable. No one was around. She doesn't recall seeing a cockroach. She just felt like, oh my God, no one is out to keep me safe. And that programming sort of got connected somehow, and we haven't explored that yet, but it got connected somehow to cockroaches. It made her feel so vulnerable, like she wasn't safe. Yeah. So I asked her what was going on, a couple of minutes prior. Where are your parents? Do you have any idea? She said, oh, they're always leaving me. They're in the other room. So what's going on with them? They're fighting. Okay, so it wasn't really their intent to leave you. It's just that they had other concerns at the moment. And that's kind of a reframe, yeah? You're afraid. Of course you're afraid. You're a little kid. But you also now, where we are now, how we would like to experience that experience, we could take into consideration the other players, the other people who are with us in that experience. And what was their experience like? That's one way to reframe. Okay, there's just a lot of ways to reframe, but that's one way. But really, first, to be curious about that experience and how to access that. This is where NLP is so useful. How to access that particular imprint that left that behavior, that patterning, that programming in place in the first place. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Very,
Thanks.
very nice. I'll give you an example. And sorry, I missed. I have a very close friend. They owned like a mini grocery store. Okay. And of course, they've had their fair share of yung mga tindera na nagnanakaw from the store. Okay. And when he was very, very young, binigyan siya ng mga matchbox ng mami niya yata or ng daddy niya. Ninakaw nung katulong. Ninakaw nung tindera. And he decided, I will not trust anybody. No one can be trusted. Okay? Everybody is out to get something from me. The thing is, he grows up, he gets into a relationship with that kind of belief. Cannot trust you. Cannot trust. If he should have children, he's going to say, I can't trust my children. Cannot trust anybody. And if that's working for him, totally fine. We're not going to change that. It's when he hits a wall. It's when it becomes painful already. So at some point, mag-aaway maybe silang mag-asawa because the trust isn't there, right? And if that happens, it may be useful to kind of reassess. Does that particular programming need updating now? It kept him safe in the past, not to trust anybody. So he tended to, make sure that he kept all his belongings. Fine, but does it need updating now? Yes, it does. Okay. Sorry, JM. Yeah, sorry, Christine, did I answer the question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. JM?
Thank you so much for the session
Thank
and
you.
the enlightenment you gave.
Thank you.
Actually, I have several questions, but I'd
Yes.
like to focus on one. During our Lectio Divina session or workshop that you participated in,
Yes.
I noticed that you had a particularly exhaustive way of responding to the inspiration of a certain passage. Would you like to tell us if that was in any way influenced by the skills you have gathered as a practitioner of NLP? And then
Yes.
give us the pointers so that we could also go deeper into our practice. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes, thank you. If you recall, in the beginning of my talk, I gave you the nestled frames of NLP. The second one is about outcomes. We all have outcomes. I want to be more patient. I want to be less judgmental. I want to be less marites, whatever. I want to be, whatever. We all have outcomes that we would like. And yet, we keep going back to our old patterns. We want to clarify things about that outcome. So let me share this with you. And this is purely NLP Marin's approach, okay? And we are teaching this in our course. And it is, how do you set up very, very good outcomes for yourself? Oops, sorry. Sorry, one moment.
Excuse me, we could not hear you at all. You're mute.
Yeah, sa kanila eh. Nag-mute siya. Yes.
We cannot hear you.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
No? Oh no.
It's okay.
What happened?
Yeah, okay.
Now, yes, we can hear
Can
you.
hear you now.
Yeah.
Help. Okay.
No.
There, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, my heart stopped. That was an experience. Okay, so let me share my screen again. I'm so sorry for that. So in NLP, it's okay, I'll do away. When we have an outcome that we would like, so the very first question is, what would you like? Very first question you ask yourself. So when we were doing the meditation, the readings, I think it was about being like a child. How being like a child is really what merits us the kingdom of heaven, right? So, okay, all right, do that. What would you like? I want to be like a child. Okay, thank you very much. Second question. What will having that do for you? Okay. And so you can say, oh, being a child will merit me the kingdom of heaven. Okay, thank you. Third question. When, where, and with whom would you like this outcome? And by when, of course, you want it now, but do you want it all of the time? That's kind of an ecology check, yeah? Do you want to be like that all of the time? So for example, I want to be patient. Do you want to be patient all of the time? Or are there times when it's useful to be impatient for you? Okay. Again, no judgment. It is only what is useful for you. Okay. Fourth question. How will you know when you have it? How will you know when you're like a child? What lets you know? What lets you know when you're already patient? What lets you know when you have the outcome that you would like? And the last question is there something you might lose that you value if you have this outcome? It's an ecology check because we want to make sure that it's win-win, not only for the people around you, but within you as well. Is there something? So for example, I did this very, very quick introduction, 10-minute intro to NLP. I asked the guy, what would you like? I want to go to Japan. Okay, what will having that do for you? Kasi itong past 2 years pandemic, hindi ako nakapuntang Japan. I want to be able to go there. Okay, all right, excellent. Is there something you might lose that you value if you have this outcome? I lose money. Ay, teka muna, kailangan ko yung pera na yun para mapaayos yung bahay namin. Okay, so what would you like? Gusto ko paayos yung bahay namin. You'll find that if you go through these questions, you get more clarity about what it is that's really important for you. And your outcomes might change. Again, no one is telling you, eto dapat paayos mo bahay mo or dapat magpunta kang Japan. Walang ganon. It's up to you. So we're not coaching, because coaching is more like do this and do that, and these are our key indicators. We're not. We're only going to ask questions, and we're going to train you to ask questions for yourself in order to explore. Basically, that's what we do. Okay. So I hope I answered JM 5 questions. That's all NLP Marin. Okay. That's all NLP Marin. Beautiful, beautiful. The way that they set up their, the way that they teach NLP, amazing. It just blows my mind, the way that they approach it. So. Okay.
Thanks, Yi. It's like
Thank
the W's of the
Yeah,
W
the 5 whys.
of the question. Yes.
Yeah, the 5 whys.
Okay.
Thank you. So time check, it's 9:51. Maybe we have
Okay.
time for 2 more questions, right? 2 more questions. So I see Vanji raising her hand. Go, Vanji.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Iris, for your
you.
very powerful and enriching talks. I hope my allergy now, which is I'm coughing, will not be a stumbling block of my, something that I would like to comment or question that I have in mind. I have many takeaways from the subject, really learned from the structure of the human experience. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
I believe most of our building blocks, which you said a while ago, there were 5 of them. The feelings that the kinesthetic feelings is the most common in our experiences.
Thank you.
But I know that feelings can neither be right or wrong. So you just have to accept each human person as they are, respect their individualities. If not, you will really be disappointed and discouraged.
Yeah.
So, and you cannot really change a person overnight. We just have to accept them as what they are. And because you said that we cannot control the situation, we cannot control the feelings. So my question is, usually we are really disappointed or discouraged of, having such kind of
Yeah.
feelings that we are not being reciprocated. So how can one change such behavior, not to expect from others, and how can we have the best feelings, options to be more in the cognitively in the know, because talaga naman we cannot really please anyone
Yeah.
because we cannot control. So how can me being myself, have to accept it that sometimes I really get disappointed, and JM knows about it. I told JM about that. Kasi palagi akong nagpo-post ng mga events, anything that is for WCCM, and then I don't get any responses. I told JM about it, and JM knows really my feelings about that. So
Okay.
that's all. Thank you so much, Iris. I really appreciate if you can, change my attitude.
Well, let's have an NLP discussion. But first of all, whenever we experience certain feelings and they're coming up negatively for us, there is something to be learned from them. There's a reason why we are triggered by certain circumstances. And so these, if we really took the time to understand, what lets us know? What lets us know to be disappointed or to be frustrated when we do not receive feedback, from example, from other people. And there's a patterning, because some other people, it doesn't matter. Yeah, in some other people's reality, I can assure you that there's somebody in the world who doing the same things that you're doing, and yet for some reason, for them, totally fine. You don't want to respond? Okay, all right, yeah. Programming runs for them. Your programming runs differently. Again, it's not right, it's not wrong. Okay, it's just that it's the way that it is. And now that you feel like you want to expand your menu of options, because before that was your option is to get frustrated, is to get, kind of disappointed. Why aren't people responding? Now what you would like is to expand your menu, to come to try to understand. Yeah, to be curious about it. First of all, about how you are responding to the situation. And second, what are other available resources that can help you to cope with the situation in ways that are more useful for you, in ways that are more in congruence with whom you would like to be. Yeah. So lots of exploration there. I cannot tell you how because I don't know the programming that's running in the background, but I can tell you that to explore that, so that you can come up with new experiences that are enjoyable for you, experiences that are more meaningful for you, the way that you would like to explore, be curious, explore, and be amazed. Yeah, you'll be amazed at the things that you will discover, how you came to be frustrated. There's a reason why. Usually, this is the critter brain acting up. Remember when I told you about the critter brain? It's keeping you safe. It's helping you to survive. Okay, so be curious. What am I afraid of losing back if people do not respond? What does it mean? So what would I like? Ask yourself, what would I like? And what will having that do for me? And how will I know when I have it? And when, where, and with whom? And is there something I might lose that I value?
Wow.
But I have that feeling that sometimes I want to give up.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Of course. Of course. Yeah.
It's like one word is enough for a wise person. One word is enough. Two words is hindi na tama yun for a wise person. Something like that. Di ba? We have a saying, something like that.
Right.
Okay.
So
yeah. So
All right.
to be curious about that.
Can I say something?
Thank you, Vanji. Thank you, Miss Yi. Now we move on to Miss Cora, who's raising her hand.
Okay, thank you finally for giving me the last few minutes. We only have a few minutes to go. But I'm glad I'm asking this question after JM asked, you have answered the question of JM. First, I'd like to commend you for everything, no, for clarity of your presentation,
Thank you.
for keeping us, active and always listening to you. And finally, for having achieved your own, the objective of this session, you have what we mean by restructuring our thinking. I think we did build our self-esteem and social skills and confidence, even with this only 2-hour session. I think this will be very helpful for teachers, and I'd like the idea of that everything really depends on you, on us. No, as you said, we don't need a coach or a mentor or anyone. Just listen to everything you said, even this first session alone, which is really, well, to me, it's not everything is really new, but it's like waking me up today, after teaching for so many
I
years.
wish I can
I
hug
could
you.
go back to the classroom. Yeah, you are a fellow Marinoler, I know. So I wish I could go back to the classroom, but I'm still a teacher, even if I am not in the classroom. So I'd like to comment and thank you, and also thank JM and the rest of the team for a very good session this morning. I was a little hesitant. Because I felt tired at the end of the week. I had a Thursday meditation session, and then I had a Friday group rosary with my classmates. So I said a third one, but I couldn't say no to JM, and I knew this is something, well, Christine also mentioned that this is something interesting. So thank you so much. I like enjoyable and meaningful experiences, and I will look forward to a follow-up for this.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Cora. That seems to be a cue to end it, but I see another person raising her hand. Is it okay?
Yes, please.
Okay, so let's have Ninay.
Hi, I just want to say thank you to everyone because I am really, really blessed to be able to participate and listen to all of your inputs. It's so enlightening. And just a takeaway from the discussion from Missy, I really was struck by when you said that the way that we behave runs silent in the background. So it's really something that stuck in my mind, that it told me that, hey, that's how it works pala. But because I am learned and have been taught by all of you from your experiences, I just want to say that thank you so much for sharing all of you and your knowledge, your life, and for JM for her patience, because sometimes I really forget time. and and thank you to all the silent women in my life. And I just want to say that I actually saw an old friend from this group. I am so happy that I saw Nona Andaya Castillo, who really, really was sent by God during the time when my life was really in a big chaos.
Wow.
And Dr. Elvira Henares
Yeah,
Esguerra.
and Dr. Elvira Henares Esguerra. But really, God works in mysterious way. I'm really so thankful also to my tita, Koy Imperial. But more than anything, JM Rebueno, I'm so happy to be part of your group. I so love you because of your kulit. I really was about to give up. Sabi ko, I cannot do this silent thing because I have a problem with shutting my mouth out. I love to talk. But I'm so grateful that I really, JM really persuaded. I want to see you. Do you have time? Can you imagine? I was like, oh my God, I'm so sleepy. She's texting me again, But buti na lang, she didn't give up. I'm so happy. I'm just so happy. And To Yi, you are such a helper. You continue what you do. It's you guys are all such a blessing. I want you to know that God puts you in a situation where you think you're just about to give up. You're gonna jump. You need to jump, guys. You really have to jump and let go. Let God catch you. When He catches you, you'll be surprised. Wow, it's all done. It's finished. And you will realize, oh, this woman was so powerful in my life. I thought she was just a nuisance. But lo and behold, you realize, wow, buti na lang I met her.
Yeah.
My God, buti na lang I met her at that point of my life because God sent me that person. I'm so grateful to all of you. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Thank you. One
Yeah.
thing also, once yung tatalon kayo, and then you look back and you realize, oh my goodness, what was I thinking to behave that way? And then to get to the point where you actually think, oh my goodness, yeah, I have other choices. To be able to laugh about that, that's awesome. And this is what makes it so worthwhile to do this work, is to see people finally, yeah, just let go of that struggle, that internal fighting, yeah, within ourselves, and just to appreciate the brilliance that goes into all of our decisions, all of our choices. It's just amazing, amazing work. And that's what keeps me going back to it. Ang sarap-sarap tingnan. People come into more and more at peace with themselves. It's so nice. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
salamat.
you. Thank
So much.
you. Thank you so much for all those who were brave enough to ask their questions or simply share, because we also learn from your questions and sharing. Thank you again, Yi. And now can we call on JM, who will make some important announcements?
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, everyone. I just would like to make a couple of encouragement. I want to thank our organizers who brave to manage and facilitate today's event. Most of them are for our oblate seekers, like Ellen, who is hosting us, Lolita Banyo, a prayer leader and overall organizer, Dolor O'Malley, and Ninay Imperial. So you can just imagine how glad I was to see Ninay finally catch up. Thank you, Ninay. And for the next CDSS,
Can I say something?
No, Ninay, you have had your share.
I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to you.
Thank you too. So let's move on so that not everybody gets too delayed. On September 3, we have the CM Tuesday 8 p.m. group led by Rhoda Osalvo. She is launching a project and teaching us on September how to do memoir writing towards a book that compiles all these memoirs that we do basically for through Lectio Divina, and come up with a book on contemplative practices in the Philippines. So do join us September 3, because Rhoda, who herself is a professional writer, having authored a number of books, will share her own tips, her own practices. So be there September 3. Same first Saturday, same time. We'll send you the link. Then October 1, we have the group of Ausuklad that meets every Wednesday at 7 p.m. At this point, maybe it's a bit too early for Au and her team to determine what they would like to share with us. But knowing Au and knowing the personalities in her group, I am sure this will be very, very engaging and nourishing. So
JM, excuse me. We
Yes,
meet
Angie.
8 p.m., not 7.
8 p.m. Okay, so 8 p.m.
Thank you.
Cloud's group, Vanji in that group, and a number of others. Thank you very much. Then this afternoon, if you've got kids, please be with us for Kindle. It's Christian meditation with children for the conversion of Russia and for world peace. Children meditating. So 4 p.m., just for 30 minutes, the kids will go through what we have done in a shorter way. And we have Mama Mary guiding them with a lot of stories of how Mama Mary encourages us. In fact, most of her apparitions, if not all, are made to children. And her singular prayer is penance and prayer. Then the oblates will meet, or seekers will meet again on August 13th, second Sunday at 4 p.m. The Oblate Seekers would like to welcome you. We will be posting in the WCCM Facebook group the Zoom link. So do join us. And of course, Vanji with her never give up attitude. Please keep inviting people. You'll be the first that I'll send the e-poster with the Zoom link. Thank you. That's it. Ellen, I turn over.
Salamat, JM. Okay, so may I invite everyone here to come into stillness and silence as a way of thanking Missy and Mahardika NLP, which she represents, and all those among us who help build the sacred space offered by contemplative day in stillness, silence, and simplicity. So let's have this silence.
Ellen, kindly unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm calling on Ninay Imperial again for our closing prayers. Ninay, please unmute.
Oh, sorry. It's a reading from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. And this is also a reading from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 11, verse 24. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours.
Closing prayers. May this group be true spiritual home for the seeker, a friend for the lonely, a guide for the confused. May those who pray here be strengthened by the Holy Spirit to serve all who come and to receive them as Christ Himself. In the silence of this room, may all the suffering, violence, and confusion of the world encounter the power that will console, renew, and uplift the human spirit. May this silence be a power to open the hearts of men and women to the vision of God, and so to each other in love and peace, justice, and human dignity. May the beauty of the divine life fill this group and the hearts of all who pray here with joyful hope. May all who come here, weighed down by the problems of humanity, leave giving thanks for the wonder of human life. We make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Helen?
Okay. Daghang salamat. We are now ending the session. Thank you, all you awesome people who joined us so early this Saturday morning. I hope the sun is out also in your area. Again, we will have 2 contemplative days in stillness, silence, and simplicity. That's the first one, September 3, and the next one, October 1. And today and next Saturday, right, JM will have the one for kids. So I know it has been it has been a very enlightening session, fruitful one. Thank you so much to our guest, Miss Irish de Guzman. Salamat.
Salamat
you,
po.
Ellen.
Enjoy your
Thank
weekend.
Teacher
Bye-bye.
taking.
Can we have
a
our
picture
videos
taking?
on for our photo? Please turn on your video.
Yeah, everybody.
Turn on your camera. Thank you. Maybe Aurora can join us and
Ao
contact.
and Honey, please open your
All right.
videos.
Perfect.
Ao,
Okay, we smile.
Ao,
JM,
can you kindly open your video? Ready? Thank
all
you.
right.
Teka ha, sandali. Meron lang message na okay, once more please. And the last, with the biggest Jesus. All right. Tita Sikat, will your group be okay for November or December? Yay. I'll call you. I'll give you a call. And Christine, I'll give you also a call.
Thank you
So
very
we're looking
much.
forward to the
Thank you,
different meetings.
Hi, Argel.
Thank
Hello,
you.
Argel. Nice
Thank
to see
you.
you.
Salamat.
Bye.
Nice to see you.
Hi,
Thank you.
Argel.
Argel. Hi, Argel.
Hi,
God bless.
Elizabeth.
Hi.
Thank you, JM.
E,
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks so
G.
much.
Thanks,
I have a
JM.
question. Can you
Thanks
check
so
my
much, E.
question in the chat?
I, JL.
Wave, Elizabeth.
Are we extending? Yeah, what's going on? Somebody asking something?
No, I was
More
just
questions?
ah,
More Q&A?
JM,
Tangka lang
thanks
ako,
so much
Irish.
for making me kulit. I love you. I really do. I really, really
JM is
do.
the most makulit
Yeah,
friend
my
that
God,
I
you're such a
know.
woman of grace. You really work under pressure with all the bad attitude that we have. But my God, you're such a mom. I'm so blessed by you.
Well,
She
make
will
it
never give up.
manifest in
She
your
will never give
behavior.
up.
Better enroll in NLP, dear.
Yes.
Get a
Yeah,
good
thanks,
endorsement.
Bye.
We'll check
That
it
was
out,
great.
Irish. But Irish, I was just
Bye.
wondering because I was the only one who didn't have any shift when from colored to black and white a while ago. What does that mean?
It means that the
Really?
way that your brain is programmed, the pleasant feeling is not dependent on whether it's colored or black and white.
All right.
And no matter how it presents yourself, it's gonna be a pleasant. How about when you kind of modified the brightness? Did it change
Yeah.
that experience? Okay. So, because when we did this exercise some time back, there was actually somebody who, no matter what you did, yeah, whether it's the brightness or the in-body, out-of-body, or the color black and white, for him, it was such a sacred experience of pleasantness because he was having a great time with his kids in Singapore. They were
Okay.
in Universal Studios, I think. And so no matter what we did, it's like, yeah, that's pleasant. And so that's
Yeah.
the way that brain is programmed for that experience. Yeah, that's all that it means, really.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
Enjoy
God
the
bless
weekend,
everyone. Thank you so
Yeah. Have
much.
a pleasant weekend. Bye.
Thank you so much, Lee.
Bye.
Thank you,
God
Thanks,
JM.
bless.
Yi.
Bye.
Thanks, JM.
Andiyan ka pa ba? Umalis na, magtatanong din sana ako. Anyway, sige. So, salamat, team. Salamat, Ninais. Salamat,
Thanks.
Lolit.
God
Take
bless you
care.
all.
Oh,
Take
magsa-sign out
care.
na ako. Bye-bye.
God bless. Ay, Ninay, salamat. Dulo.